When the Millionaire's manager panicked, the black janitor responded in perfect Chinese. In the ritzy halls of the Crofton Hotel, the air was thick with tension. The chandelier flickered above like a warning sign. It was one of those nights where everything seemed to hang in the balance. The lavish gala was in full swing, but chaos brewed just beneath the surface. As the millionaire, Lyle Langston, mingled with the North Side elite, panic hit him like a cold wave. His prized guest, a Chinese business mogul, had gone missing. A flurry of whispers filled the room, eyes darting, faces paling. Someone muttered, "This could ruin everything," but just as doubt clouded Lyle's mind, the janitor, a quiet man named Marcus, stepped forward. The crowd fell silent, expectant. This was a man used to the shadows, familiar with the grime. Yet right then, he was anything but ordinary. With a deep breath, he opened his mouth, clear and strong, and spoke flawless Mandarin. It was as if a different soul had emerged from within him. Gasps erupted. The room buzzed with uncertainty. How could this man, who scrubbed floors and emptied trash bins, suddenly command a language so intricately tied to the very culture they feared losing? He looked calm, vibrant even. Yet deep inside, Marcus felt the weight of 1,000 eyes. His heart raced, but his voice didn't waver. "We need to find him, now?" Panic smoldered just beneath his calm exterior. People exchanged glances, torn between disbelief and desperation. What did he know? The stakes felt high, like the world teetering on the edge of a volcano about to erupt. Suddenly, Lyle's manager, a tweed-clad man full of pretentious bravado, laughed nervously. "What do you think you can do, sweeper?" he sneered, but there was fear in his voice. The room shifted, breaths holding in suspense. Would the forgotten janitor step into the fray, or retreat back into shadow? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the clock ticked down, Marcus could feel a shift in the atmosphere. His voice pierced through the fading laughter. Lyle turned his gaze, suddenly intrigued. "What do you know about my guest?" he demanded, eyes narrowing. Fear gripped the room. Would they allow this unassuming figure to delve deeper into truths hidden in plain sight? The tension was electric. Fingers twitched, hearts thumped louder in their chests. What secrets did Marcus hold? And as he prepared to unravel the mystery intertwined with the millionaire's lavish lifestyle, one burning question remained. Could a janitor truly save a night spiraling into disaster? The weight of Lyle's glare felt like a cold vice around Marcus's throat. He had never been the center of attention, and now, standing amidst the extravagance of the Crofton Hotel, the eyes bore into him like daggers. He gathered his thoughts, trying to channel the confidence he never needed beyond these dirty hallways. "I know his name," he began, each syllable deliberate. "Hao Chun." The name dropped like a stone in a quiet pond. A ripple of whispers danced through the crowd, the uncertainty palpable. "We don't have time for games," Lyle barked, shifting his weight anxiously. "What makes you think you can help?" "I've seen things," Marcus replied, his voice firm as steel. "Things that would make even the richest man sweat." He scanned the room, reflecting the urgency coursing through him. "Your guest is in danger." "I overheard them. They were discussing a plan." "What plan?" Lyle demanded, stepping closer, his tone softening slightly. Marcus hesitated, his heart racing. Could he expose a world that thrived in darkness? But this was bigger than himself. This was about a man's life. They want to use this gala as a distraction, a way to erase Hao Chun from the scene. Silence descended once more, thick and choking. The onlookers shifted, their expressions oscillating between disbelief and dawning realization. Murmurs snaked through the crowd, voices barely above whispers. How could he know? Who was he really? Feeling the weight of their disbelief, Marcus pushed forward. "I saw the man who's behind this. I saw him slip away earlier. He has ties to the very people you dance with tonight." His voice trailed off as he caught Lyle's gaze. "If we don't move now, it might be too late." Lyle's expression grew serious, the bravado fading as the weight of responsibility settled upon his shoulders. He glanced around, gauging the crowd. Panic had a way of spreading like wildfire, and that spark was flickering dangerously close. "We need to search the upper floors," he stated, breaking the tension. "You lead the way." Marcus felt a rush of determination. "We need to find the service elevators. They're out of sight and never used by the guests." "Why would I trust you?" Lyle hesitated, but desperation gnawed at him. "Because," Marcus replied, his voice cutting through the tension, "you have no other choice." In that moment, Lyle's face flickered with a mix of frustration and defeat. He nodded curtly, the weight of leadership apparent in his eyes. Without a word, Marcus turned, moving swiftly through the crowd, his heart hammering. The glittering chaos of the gala dissipated behind him. As he navigated the lavish space, glimmers of light danced off the polished floors. He pushed through the doors to the service area, the ambience shifting dramatically from opulence to starkness. He glanced back to see Lyle fumbling through the throngs of people, struggling with the gravity of trusting a janitor over the aristocracy he was bred from. Sweat beaded on Marcus's forehead. He could feel time slipping, precious seconds clicking down like a countdown towards a catastrophe. In the dim light of the corridor, Marcus finally found the service elevator. His pulse quickened as he pressed the button, the dim light above flickering weakly. "What's on the upper floors?" Lyle asked, eyebrow raised as they waited. "Answers," Marcus replied, a knot of urgency tightening in his stomach. As the elevator doors shuddered open with a metallic gasp, a chilling thought struck him. What if they were already too late? With one last whispered prayer to the universe, they stepped inside, the doors grinding closed behind them, sealing them into what could be a descent into chaos. As the elevator lurched upward, Marcus's adrenaline surged. He peeked at Lyle, who looked pale and determined. "You ready for the truth?" he asked, heart pounding. "Show me," Lyle breathed. Little did they know that the very answers they sought were waiting just beyond the doors, answers that would unravel everything they thought they knew and possibly cost them everything they held dear. The elevator dinged, and the doors creaked open, revealing a long, darkened hallway where shadows whispered secrets. But as they stepped into the unknown, footsteps echoed down the corridor, meticulous, foreboding, and closing in fast. Who, or what, was coming for them? A thick silence enveloped the hallway, broken only by the echo of their own racing hearts. Marcus felt every nerve in his body tighten as the footsteps grew louder, more defined. He exchanged a worried glance with Lyle, whose earlier bravado had been replaced by raw fear. What had they stumbled into? "We need to find cover," Marcus whispered, his eyes darting along the shadowy corridor, scanning for any place that might shield them. He could feel the cold sweat trickling down his spine, aware that the walls could hide 100 dangers. "Where?" Lyle whispered back, his voice barely above a trembling breath. Without thinking, Marcus beckoned Lyle to follow him down a narrow doorway on the left. The door creaked in protest as they slipped inside, hastily shutting it behind them. They found themselves in a dimly lit storage room filled with old furniture, dust-laden boxes, and a stench of neglect. Their breaths were heavy, merging into the stale air. Listening intently, they could hear the footsteps stop just outside the hallway door they had just vacated. Marcus pressed his back against the wall, feeling the chill of the concrete through his shirt. Lyle stood rigid, his jaw clenching. "Who do you think it is?" Lyle asked, voice low and shaky. "I don't know, but whoever it is, they're not here for a friendly chat," Marcus replied, his mind racing. He felt trapped between the walls of this room and the unseen danger lurking just beyond the door. Suddenly, a loud thud resounded, followed by the unmistakable sound of someone rummaging through the hallway. A clattering noise echoed, as if items were being tossed aside carelessly. "I don't like this. We can't stay here," Lyle said, his fear morphing into urgency. "Right, but we can't just burst through the door," Marcus countered, trying to whisper as loudly as he dared. "We need a plan." Before he could finish, the door rattled violently as something heavy slammed against it. The two men recoiled instinctively, their hearts pounding in sync. "This isn't good," Lyle muttered under his breath, glancing around the room for a potential escape route. Marcus's eyes fell upon a window high above, barely visible beneath layers of grime. "We can climb up, maybe get out through there," he suggested, desperation creeping into his voice. Lyle shook his head. Too risky. If they see us, a chilling laugh suddenly pierced the air from the hallway, cutting through the tension like a knife. Searching for something? The voice was smooth, almost mocking a stark contrast to the chaos brewing in Marcus's mind. A man stepped into view, silhouetted against the faint hallway light. His face was partially obscured, but the glint of his eyes was enough to send a chill down Marcus's spine. Everyone loves a good party, don't they? The figure sneered, stepping closer. I'd hate to ruin yours. They could only listen as his voice continued, the cadence calm and taunting, promising trouble. Marcus felt Lal's hand grip his arm. Their fate hung on the balance of the next few moments. Do we make a run for it? Lal's voice trembled with fear and uncertainty that a dark thought crossed Marcus's mind. What if they confronted him? It could be their only chance. His grip tightened. As he positioned himself, ready to act, the moment hung heavy with promise and danger. The next decision could change everything. Just then, with a sudden crash, the door burst open and in walked more than just danger. Marcus! Lal shouted, panic clawing at his throat. But underneath the looming threat, another figure emerged, eyes sharp as daggers, wearing a familiar, sly smirk. Looks like the shadows aren't as empty as I thought. Marcus's heart raced, the fabric of reality shifting violently as the pieces began to connect in a way he never expected. What secrets entangled them all? And who would make it out alive? As the figure closed in, one thought pierced through the chaos: how many lives could be at stake if they failed to act now? The room fell into a tense silence, the newcomer's presence igniting a storm of confusion in Marcus's mind. Who was this person with the smirk? Why did he seem so familiar? Why are you here? Marcus finally managed, forcing the words past the lump in his throat. The man took another step closer, and Marcus caught a glimpse of a tattoo peeking beneath his sleeve, something ominous, barely discernible, but definitely not a good sign. Oh, I'm just the life of the party, the man said, voice surprisingly light, as if they were exchanging pleasantries at a gathering rather than hiding from imminent danger. You think I'd let a couple of uninvited guests roam around here unmonitored? How careless. Lal flinched, his eyes darting around for an escape. We need to go, Marcus, he murmured, fingers twitching as if he wanted to bolt. Shoo, Marcus replied, steeling himself. Let us hear him out. Smart boy, the man chuckled. You must be the brave type. He stepped into the room fully, and the door swung ominously behind him. Names don't matter much in a place like this, but let us just say I'm your host for tonight. Host? Lal echoed, disbelief swirling in his voice. You're the one who is hunting us, aren't you? Not hunting, the man corrected with a wave of his hand. More like guiding. You see, you found yourselves in quite a predicament, boys. But how you choose to react will change everything. Marcus's blood ran cold. What kind of mind game was this? What do you want from us? Curiosity, mostly, he replied, leaning casually against a worn-out dresser. I'm fascinated by what people do when their backs are against the wall. Do they turn on each other? Do they fight? Or do they come together, as friends in the face of chaos? The man's tone was unsettling, a cruel curiosity that made Marcus's skin crawl. Friends? Lal scoffed, his eyes glistening with fear. You think we're friends? You just broke down the door. I had to make a statement. And look, the man gestured toward the door, its frame splintered. Such a lovely statement it was. We're not playing your games, Marcus said, a rush of anger pushing through the fear. Let us go. The man straightened, a swift change of demeanor that sent shivers racing down Marcus's spine. Now, don't be hasty. You see, I'm not the only one who appreciates a little chaos. And if chaos you're looking for, then I can deliver. But if you want to leave, while he paused, a grin creeping back onto his face, you might want to take some interest in what's coming. Before Marcus could respond, heavy footsteps approached again, the hallway echoing the sound like a drum heralding their doom. Time's ticking, the man said, his eyes gleaming with malignant mirth. Think quickly, boys. Do you want to walk out that door? Or do you want to dive deeper into all the shadows that surround us? After all, the night is young. Run for it. Lal hissed, making a sudden movement toward the window, but the man laughed again, a sound that chilled them both to the core. Go ahead, he taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. But remember, every choice has consequences. Marcus felt a rush of adrenaline rush through him. Whatever this man was, whatever game he played, They were players in it now. But before deciding anything, before the chaos could fully swallow them, another loud crash echoed through the hallway, a different sound, one that sent a jolt of urgency through Marcus. "Never mind any previous plans," the man said, his tone shifting as his smirk faded. "It appears the real guests have arrived. Was this really happening? Could their fate slip away in a whirlwind of shadows?" The truth clawed at Marcus's chest. How many more secrets would be unwound tonight? And as the door rattled under the weight of what approached, one question loomed like a storm overhead. Who, or what, was coming next? The trembling air thickened, filled with anticipation. Marcus stood frozen as the noise grew louder, a series of guttural noises and heavy breathing merging with the sound of footsteps that felt like a countdown to catastrophe. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple, and he stole a glance at Lyle, who was wide-eyed, teetering on the precipice of a panic attack. "There's something wrong," Lyle said, his voice barely a whisper, as if the very walls might snatch the words away. "This isn't just some game. Stay focused," Marcus urged, his own voice hoarse. He was battling fear, and with every ounce of willpower, he pushed back against the terror engulfing him. "No matter what happens, we can't let him divide us." The man, still leaning casually against the dresser, flicked his eyes toward the rattling door. "Oh, but division can be so entertaining," he said, a twisted delight dancing in his tone. "Just wait until you meet my friends." The laughter that followed, dark, chilling, echoed through the room, and Marcus felt the hairs on his neck prickle. He couldn't shake the electric sense of dread that coursed through him like venom. Something was about to break through that door, and whatever it was, would show no mercy. The rattle intensified, each shake a proclamation of the unfolding madness. Then it burst open, wood splintered and smoke billowed as several figures stormed into the room, cloaked in dark gear that shone under the faint light. The sight froze Marcus in place. They moved with a cold efficiency that screamed danger. He didn't know if he wanted to run or hide. Their presence felt ominous, an echo of fear moving like a wave through his body. "Marcus!" Lyle's voice sliced through the haze as he tried to pull Marcus back, but the reality was too overwhelming to disregard. The newcomers turned, eyes shining with an unnatural hunger. "Look what the night dragged in," the man said, tipping his head back in laughter as the intruders fanned out. "My little pets, eager to play." The nearest figure stepped forward, the light catching a tattoo that matched the one Marcus had glimpsed earlier beneath the man's sleeve. His stomach dropped. This was no simple game. It was a trap, a twisted maze of cruelty designed to ensnare them both. "Why are they here?" Marcus managed, half choking on his panicked breath. The man's eyes twinkled maliciously. "I told you. Choices. But now the real challenge begins. The bait has arrived." Before Marcus could comprehend what that meant, one of the intruders lunged forward, tackling Lyle to the ground. Marcus's heart raced. "Get off him." He lunged, adrenaline overriding all sense. He reached for Lyle, but the weight of two strong arms pinned him back. "See," the man seesawed with delight. "How quickly bonds decay when true danger arrives." The struggle became chaotic, and Marcus's vision blurred with panic. He could hear Lyle's muffled protests beneath the shouts, and the entanglement of bodies felt like a drowning sea threatening to pull him down. The room crowded with tension, every second stretching like a rubber band, ready to snap. Suddenly, as if on cue, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into a darkness so complete that it felt alive. The only sounds now were heavy breathing, twisting bodies, and a distant growl that seemed to come from nowhere. What was happening? Chaos thickened, and Marcus was aware of how alone he felt, of the fraying threads of trust between them. "Make your choice, Marcus," echoed the man's sing-song voice, laced with mockery. "Will you fight for each other, or let fear divide you?" The sound of thumping feet echoed again, and some instinct made Marcus look towards the doorway. "What now?" he murmured, feeling the suffocating fear clawing at him once more. In that moment of frozen uncertainty, the shadows shifted around him, beckoning, ready to ensnare. And then, what new horror awaited them in the suffocating darkness? Marcus's heart raced as he strained to hear anything over the chaotic struggle unfolding in the dark. Shadows danced wildly, and each sound, every thump, every grunt seemed to claw at his reason. He tried to shake free from the grip of the two intruders holding him down, their laughter echoing like a distant storm. "Lyle!" he shouted, desperation spilling from his lips. The darkness swallowed his voice, and he felt the air grow thick and suffocating around him. What had they walked into? This was beyond a night gone wrong. It was a descent into a nightmare. "Stay away from him," a voice thundered, cutting through the murk. It was Lyle. The words crackled with a mixture of fear and fury. Marcus's heart sang at the sound, but the ensuing silence filled him with dread. Then, a surge of adrenaline coursed through him like fire, igniting his instincts. With a grunt, Marcus threw his weight against the arms pinning him. He felt a momentary loosening and sprang forward, desperate to reach Lyle. But a strong hand yanked him back, slamming him against the floor. Pain shot through him, but he bit down hard, refusing to give in. Lighting flickered in the distance, illuminating the edges of the room for terrifying moments. He caught glimpses of the figures, their faces obscured, cold eyes hungry for chaos. The dark laughter returned, teasing him like a taunt that wrapped around him as tightly as a noose. "Look at him," one of the intruders jeered, shoving Lyle roughly. "He's just a little lamb in a big, bad world." "No," Marcus growled, forcing his eyes to adjust to the enveloping darkness. "Get your hands off him. Make a choice, Marcus," the man's taunting voice echoed again, dripping with malice. "Is it loyalty or survival?" The hiss of breath and heavy footsteps were all he could hear now. Each pulse in his chest screamed to protect Lyle, yet fear clawed at his throat. The decision felt impossible, a fork in a road paved with horrors. Then, an unexpected crash echoed, as if the shadows had broken apart. A body hit the floor with a sickening thud. It was one of the intruders. "What the hell?" another yelled, their voices revealing fear amidst their bravado. "Use it," Marcus thought fiercely. Use their fear against them. He pushed against the weight again, feeling their grip falter. "Just a moment. Lyle," he shouted, desperate for a signal that they could break free together. He could not do this alone. Lyle's voice was strained yet alive, a flicker of something determination. But could he lift the weight of both their lives? The chaos erupted around him, bodies colliding in the darkness, fear pulsing like a frantic heartbeat. Marcus felt the raw energy surging back to him, filling him with wild courage. Shadows danced in the room, making the situation feel dynamic, alive with the desperate struggle. Suddenly, a bright light sliced through the darkness, revealing the chaotic scene. One of the dark figures had collapsed, the others now scrambling, unsure where the next attack might come from. Marcus caught sight of Lyle sprawled on the floor, struggling against another intruder who didn't seem fazed by the havoc. "Hang on," Marcus shouted, adrenaline fueling him. He pushed forward, piecing together the threat, fueled by a primal need to protect his friend. But before he could reach Lyle, a loud crack sounded, splitting the air. The intensity of the moment hung like fog. Then, silence. A sudden, chilling recognition settled over the room as the remaining figures ceased their movements, their breath catching in unison at what they saw. What had changed? What new horror had come to disturb this twisted game? "Get ready, Marcus," came the man's low voice again, now with an edge of uncertainty. "Let us see what comes next in this play." And just like that, as the seconds ticked slowly, Marcus braced himself for an even darker revelation. What power lay hidden in the shadows? The heartbeat of silence throbbed painfully in the stillness that enveloped them. Marcus's eyes struggled to adjust, scanning the room for the unknown terror that lay just beyond the light's reach. He could barely breathe as dread pooled in his stomach. Then, a figure shifted in the periphery of the illuminated space. A tall man, clad in a dark coat that almost blended into the gloom, stepped forward. He was calm as the chaos fizzled around him, a predator observing the weak. His face was sharp, eyes like glints of ice piercing through the days. There was something unsettlingly collected about him. "Fools," he sneered, shooting a contemptuous look at the struggling intruders. "You've let the game slip. You wanted power, but power isn't just brute force. Watch and learn." His cold command lingered in the air, sending a chill down Marcus's spine. "Quit chasing shadows." One of the assailants barked, showing cracks in their bravado. "What do we do now?" The fear that radiated from them was palpable. "Just you wait," the tall man responded, his smile slow and calculated, revealing a predatory nature. The real game begins now. With a flick of his wrist, he gestured toward an ornate wooden box half hidden in shadows. Lyle's eyes widened. He knew it too, the box was their only exit from this horror. "Marcus!" he yelled, determination breaking through the haze of fear. "We can't let him." Before he could finish, the man lunged toward the box with dark, purposeful energy. The intruder's attention swiveled away, abandoning their grip on both boys as they faced this new threat. Marcus seized the moment. Adrenaline surged as he flung himself toward Lyle, instinct kicking in. He could feel the surge of freedom waiting for them, a pulse that drove him forward despite the pain seeping through his body. They collided, struggling to push each other up from the floor, urgency propelling their actions. "Let us go," Marcus urged, and together they stumbled, hearts hammering in their chests. With the lights still blinking, they made a beeline for the box, fear and hope tangled in their desperate minds. But as they reached the dark outline of it, the tall man turned. His expression morphed from smug confidence to palpable rage, and in a flash, he hurled something toward them, a slick object that struck the floor near their feet with a clatter. A knife? The realization hit Marcus like an icy shock. "Move," he yelled, pushing Lyle with him as the blade settled ominously, glistening under the fractured light. The laughter of the remaining intruders twisted in the air, mixing with their own raspy breaths. It was a game, a twisted carousel of power and fear, and they were caught in the web. But then, amidst the pandemonium, the tall man's voice pierced through. "You think you can escape? Every door has its key, every shadow its keeper. Now, can you find yours?" His words lingered, heavy with implication. An unease crawled over Marcus's skin. It wasn't just a game, they were a part of something larger, something sinister. "Stay close," he whispered to Lyle, eyes scanning for another way out. The path ahead cloaked in uncertainty. "We need to figure out his game." They were no longer just fleeing. They were hunting for answers, desperate to turn the tide. But the question loomed larger. What was the key to this shadowy labyrinth? As thunder crackled ominously outside, unsettling thoughts hammered into their minds. Were they about to step into a trap more complex than they could imagine? Marcus swallowed down his fear, gritting his teeth against the burden of this reality. And just as the uncertainty loomed heavy, the box creaked open, revealing a cavernous darkness that promised answers, but at what cost? What awaited them mattered more than the thrill of escape. They faced a new horror, and they had to decide: leap into the unknown or retreat into their fears. The weight of their choice hung in the air like a blade, ready to drop. Would they take the plunge, or would the shadows consume them? The darkness yawned from the open box, a ravenous void ready to swallow them whole. Marcus's heart raced, beat thundering like a war drum echoing through the room. He pulled Lyle forward, urgency pushing aside the icy grip of fear that threatened to immobilize them both. "What if it's a trap?" Lyle whispered, his voice trembling. Sweat trickled down Marcus's back as he shook his head. "Something's inside we need to find out." The risk felt like an electric charge, both terrifying and invigorating. Even as they inched closer, shadows danced around them, a chilling reminder of the tall man's ominous words. Each step sent a jolt of adrenaline through Marcus, his instincts igniting like a flame. They peered into the box. The darkness seemed alive, swirling as if whispering secrets of long-forgotten horrors. The air stank of mildew, and something more sinister, like rotten hope. A faint glow flickered within the promise of answers, perhaps even salvation. But what lay beyond the threshold? "On three?" Lyle asked, hands trembling. Marcus nodded, their faces illuminated only by the erratic overhead lights. Together. 1, 2, 3. They plunged into the dark, the scent of earth and decay engulfing them as they crossed the threshold. Inside, their surroundings shifted, the vibrant energy of the room falling away. All that remained was a narrow corridor that twisted and turned into an endless maze. It felt alive, vibrating with an ominous thrum, challenging their resolve. "Which way?" Lyle asked, his voice a mere echo. "Let us keep going forward. We can't turn back now." The corridor was cluttered with remnants of their fears, frames of portraits that seemed to watch, doors that whispered promises of escape, yet felt bolted tight. Every corner they rounded led to another possibility of doom. Each footstep echoed the pleading of lost souls, screams muffled by the walls, urgency rippling through the calm. But then a flicker of hope caught Marcus's eye as they stumbled upon a shard of light slicing through the gloom. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. "This way," he shouted, dragging Lyle along. The beam of light danced, spinning as if beckoning them closer. The tension in the air shifted, thickening with the fear of what lay ahead. Would they find salvation or something far worse? As they approached, the light unveiled the silhouettes of various keys hanging on rusty hooks, a salvation within reach. Each key shone different, colors representing choices, temptations, paths, and perhaps a way out. "Which one should we take?" Lyle breathed, hesitating, analyzing the keys like a puzzle. Just then, the corridor growled, the very walls vibrating as if alive with anger. The lights above flickered wildly, plunging them momentarily into darkness. Another loud crash reverberated down the hall. What was that? Lyle's tight grip found Marcus's arm. Something coming. Marcus could feel the palpable dread infecting the air like poison. Choose quickly. In that moment of urgency, every key felt like a gamble with death. The tall man's laughter echoed in Marcus's mind. This game had been designed to trap them. But did one of these keys hold their escape? A loud slam reverberated through the corridor, causing the floor to tremble beneath them. "Pick one," Marcus urged, knowing hesitation could seal their fate. As Lyle's fingers trembled over the cold metal, a voice behind them shrieked, "This isn't what you think. Get out now." They turned, heart-stopping fear choking the breath from their lungs. The tall man stood there, ice-cold eyes glimmering with malevolent satisfaction. "Time's almost up. Which door will you choose before it's too late?" Panic clawed at Marcus as he sensed the choice was beyond just the key. It was a question of deeper truths, a challenge that could redefine everything they thought they knew. Would they dare to gamble their lives on a single key, or would the darkness emerge victorious? With a burst of defiance, Lyle grabbed the largest key, its metallic weight promising freedom or doom. "Whatever we do, we can't doubt this," Marcus shouted as the tall man's eerie grin widened. And in that frantic moment, the echo of footsteps grew louder, a countdown to their fate beginning. What awaited them on the other side of the door stood more than mere escape. It was a confrontation that would test the very limits of their will. Would they uncover the truth or plunge into greater danger? The answers loomed like a specter in the dark, waiting just out of reach. If they unlocked the wrong door, what would be unleashed? The air thickened as Lyle inserted the massive key into the lock. With a jarring turn, a resonating click pierced the silence, but it wasn't the sound of hope they anticipated. The door groaned open, revealing a room bathed in ethereal light that danced on the walls like flickering flames. "Stay close," Marcus whispered, peering in. The sight was surreal. The room was a bizarre amalgamation of luxury and decay. Tattered velvet drapes hung beside ornate chandeliers encrusted with dust, remnants of elegance forgotten. As they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them with a deafening bang, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Panic surged in Marcus. What just happened? Lyle's eyes darted around, frantically searching for a way out. That wasn't supposed to happen. A low rumble echoed through the space, sending tremors into their bones. Shadows elongated, twisting as if they were alive, reaching for Marcus and Lyle. The menacing laughter of the tall man reverberated, bouncing off the walls, taunting them. In the center of the room stood a table, its surface covered in dust and scattered with papers, torn contracts, faded photographs, and handwritten notes, all remnants of lives once lived. One photograph caught Marcus's eye. Two boys, bright smiles, their arms around each other. "This isn't right. What is all this?" Lyle asked, glancing at Marcus, whose face was drawn tight with foreboding. "Maybe the answers are here," Marcus suggested hesitantly, moving toward the table. Each step felt heavier, his body weighed down by uncertainty. But then, with a crack that shattered the stillness, one of the chandeliers, unable to bear its own weight, crashed to the floor, narrowly missing Marcus. He jumped back, heart racing. "We need to be careful." "Forget that. We need to find a way out," Lyle exclaimed, but his voice trembled, betraying the fear gnawing at him. Marcus was about to agree when an old, leather-bound book on the table caught his eye. He flipped it open, pages yellowed and brittle. Scrawled inside were names, dates, and cryptic annotations that sent chills up his spine. The tall man's name was conspicuously inked on several pages, linked to an unsettling narrative full of disruptions and tragedies. "Lyle, I think we're on to something," Marcus breathed, tracing the names that spiraled across the page, the ink smudged as if the writer had rushed under duress. "Read it out loud," Lyle urged, his voice tightening with urgency. "Marked for removal." Marcus read, words crackling in the air as they sliced through the tension. "All who crossed him met unfortunate ends, disappeared without a trace, or found dead under mysterious circumstances." The air thickened with dread. "What does it mean? Is this some kind of sick game?" Lyle shot back, his eyes wide with terror. Suddenly, the room constricted, walls closing in like an iron vice. The shadows coiled tighter, winding around them with a life of their own. A frantic whisper echoed through the space, slithering into their minds. "Your fates are tied to the tall man. Unravel the mystery, or become part of the story forever." They could feel the oppressive weight of dread suffocating them. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet an unseen force kept them rooted in place. Lyle, clutching Marcus's arm, leaned in, his breath hitching with each terrifying word. "We want to solve anything here." Marcus met Lyle's frantic gaze. "We have to put our fears aside. We can't let him win." With a burst of determination, they pushed towards the door, but it wouldn't budge. Panic flooded Marcus's system, and desperation gripped him. "We have to find a key to unlock this nightmare." As they pounded on the door, a dark laughter exploded around them. It was coming from everywhere, shrouding them in a shroud of despair. "Choose your next move wisely," the tall man's voice echoed. "Failure means a fate worse than death." The words hung heavy in the air, paralyzing and electric. Pulsing with terror and resolve, they realized the stakes had shifted. They weren't just trying to escape. They were searching for truth among layers of deception. What was it about the tall man that tied them to this chilling fate? And as realization dawned, came the chilling thought. If they wanted to survive, they had to uncover secrets buried deep within their own pasts, a past that may hold the key to their salvation. What other truths awaited them in the dark echoes of their own lives? Would the revelation set them free or bind them tighter to the abyss? Marcus's heart thudded in his chest. The walls of the strange room felt like they were whispering, urging him to find the answers hidden within its depths. Lyle looked to him, eyes filled with both fear and determination. "We can't stay here. We need to find a way out," he urged, his voice cracking with urgency. Marcus nodded, steeling himself. "Let us go back to the table. There has to be something, some hint, anything," he replied, gripping Lyle's arm and guiding him back toward the shadows around the table. They rifled through the pages of the leather-bound book, desperate for a thread to pull on that would unravel the mystery. They flipped more pages. Each entry ignited a flicker of recognition in Marcus. Names from the past, entangled stories of betrayal and loss. The tall man's legacy was painted in blood, and here it was, documented in black and white. He noticed a symbol next to a series of names, 3 interlocked circles, a mark of a secret society that thrived on power and deception. "What does this mean?" Lyle whispered, looking closer. "It means we're deeper into this than we thought." The tall man. "He has been manipulating lives for years. We have to confront him," Marcus said, adrenaline coursing through him. Suddenly, the door quaked, rattling as if something was trying to force its way in. A surge of panic crashed over them. They had precious little time. "Look," Lyle pointed at a loose brick in the wall. "What if there's something behind here?" Marcus hurried to the wall, his fingers trembling as he pried at the brick with all his strength. With a sharp crack, it popped loose, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside lay an ornate key, shining faintly despite the dust. "This has to be it," he exclaimed, heart racing at the possibility of escape. "Quickly, what if it's the key to a door out of this nightmare?" Lyle urged, urgency lining his words. They dashed back to the heavy wooden door, Marcus fumbling with the key. The lock clicked loudly, and a wave of hope surged through him. "This is it," he declared, twisting the key. With a deep breath, he shoved the door open. A blinding light flooded in, illuminating a staircase leading upward. Without a second thought, they bolted, driving themselves forward into the unknown. As they climbed higher, the air thickened with anticipation. Each step echoed like a heartbeat, syncing with their racing minds. Just when they reached the top, they heard the tall man's voice low and sinister behind them. "You think you can leave? You don't even know the half of it." Lyle and Marcus froze, dread pooling in their stomachs. "What do you want from us?" Marcus shouted, his voice shaking but defiant. "Every choice has repercussions, dear boys. You've chosen knowledge, but not the price. The truth comes antedated." Marcus gritted his teeth, anger sparking within him. "No more games," Lyle added, stepping protectively in front of Marcus. "You're in my world now," the tall man sneered, his handsome face twisting into a mask of rage. "You're already trapped. You just don't know it yet." Suddenly, the staircase began to crumble beneath them, rocks tumbling down, the space shrinking as though the building were alive, actively performing its own acts of revenge. "Run!" Marcus shouted, pulling Lyle along as they charged toward a bright exit that shimmered like a beacon in the haze of the impending collapse. They barely made it through the exit, tumbling into a hallway. But it wasn't just any hallway. This one was lined with closed doors, each marked with signs of both warning and invitation. The air shimmered, suggesting choices not yet made. "What now?" Lyle gasped, catching his breath as they glanced at the options laid before them. "There are too many." "The key," Marcus urged, desperately gripping the metallic object. "Maybe this one will lead us to freedom." He plunged it into the nearest door, desperation fueling his actions. The door creaked open, revealing not just an exit, but memories their childhoods reflected in photographs, laughter echoing in frames suspended in time. It was beautiful but haunting, resonating with their deepest fears and joys. Marcus Lyle whispered, stepping inside, eyes wide with nostalgia. "These are our memories." "No, we can't get lost here," Marcus remembered what the tall man had said. But just as they took a step back, the laughter turned sinister, morphing into cries of betrayal, echoing eternally as the tall man's voice crept into the corners of their minds. Marcus's throat tightened. "We have to confront him. Tonight could end everything." With resolve set in their hearts, they pressed deeper into the room where their past was held captive. They would face the tall man, expose the darkness feeding off their fears, and reclaim their lives. As they forged ahead, the air crackled with anticipation. No longer compelled by terror, they were determined to confront the truth lurking just out of sight. Together, they stepped through their shared memories, ready to transform them into the power that would free them from the tall man's grasp. "Let us end this." They joined hands, the bond forged stronger than any darkness that had threatened them. The air whirled around them, a promise of impending confrontation. This time, it was not just about escaping. It was about changing their fate forever. And with each determined step, they could feel the shadows beginning to recede. Marcus and Lyle, no longer just players in a sinister game, stood united against the darkness. With fire in their hearts and courage in their souls, they were primed to redefine the story, one where they emerged victorious and unbroken. Now, the stage was set. They were no longer the hunted. They were the hunters. And as they burst through the final door into the realm of truth, a feeling of hope surged like a tidal wave. Whatever awaited them next, they would face it together. This was their moment. They would seize it. Before the story ended, a storm approached. A reckoning. Could it be the tall man would finally meet his reckoning? The realization washed over them, a wave of adrenaline propelling them to face what had held them captive for so long. But a newfound strength coursed through Marcus. His heart thrummed with resolute energy. "It's time to take back our lives," he whispered to Lyle, the determination shining in his eyes. And as they stood ready for the final confrontation, one truth was clear: the shadows would not win this time. This time, they were ready. Now is the time for you to act. If you love this incredible story, you need to subscribe immediately to catch every exclusive tale we'll tell next. Don't let another epic narrative slip through your fingers. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and let us know what you thought. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. And do not wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this all wraps up. Your support makes all the difference, and we can't thank you enough.